Hey guys, welcome back to an interesting video on Wild Rifts. Today we're back with a Vayne commentary guide, and I'm just going to put the build up on screen now. We're not going to spend a dedicated portion of the video in presenting the build and stuff. Basically, the build, runes, and spells are pretty much all the same as the ones I covered in my Vayne updated complete guide that honestly at this point that was a couple of months ago already, because we covered Vayne I believe in patch like 5.1 or 5.1a, and her build hasn't really changed since then. The only real difference is that we added in a Amaranth Twin Guard towards the end. We'll talk a little bit more about that one later on, but I'm thinking that from now on the rest of the videos that I'm going to be doing, I'm probably going to just put the build at the beginning of the video instead of having a dedicated couple of minutes to discuss the build, at least until of course the patch 5.2 comes out, because I always feel that there's not too much of a reason to really dedicate so much time to discussing the build when it's pretty much going to change in like a week plus or so. So it's not, it's a little bit of a waste of my time and yours as well. So we're going to discuss the build within the video itself to kind of just save everyone's time, and just because I think it makes more sense, seeing as the patch is going to change things drastically. Okay, so now let's get straight into it. So obviously, for Vayne's build, you want the classic triple combo of on-hit items with Terminus, Bork, as well as the Wit's End, as you guys saw there. And then the only real change we have is adding Twin Guard. Now, Twin Guard increases your survivability by a lot, does reduce your AD by 15, but since you're building on hit and you're also doing true damage, it's not going to matter all that much. So yeah, that's pretty much the main change. Of course, we built Bloodthirster as the last item just to get more healing and some AD. And I think Vayne is really not very good as an ADC at the moment. You only really ever want to pick Vayne if you're playing into a very tanky team. So what I mean by very tanky team, I mean minimum 3 tanks. If you have like 2 tanks, you still probably don't want to pick Vayne. So here you can see Darius comes in for a gank, Nami gets the first blood, and we're gonna go for Leona next. Unfortunately, Leona actually kills both of them on the dive. So in the end, it's actually a 2-for-2 trade. But the good thing about this is that I got one of the kills, whereas Leona got both kills, and gold on Leona is not the most useful. So yeah, as I was saying, you really don't want to pick Vayne unless there are at least 3 tanks. Even if there are 2 tanks, probably another on-hit champion would be better, like Varus, Kai'Sa, or whatnot. You really only need Vayne if there are like 3 or more tanks. Like in this case, we have Swain, we have Leona, and we have Nunu, who is building tank. And with that on the enemy team comp, they have 2 ADCs as well. So they have Draven, Varus, and they have 3 tanks. So now 3 tanks is really the green light for Vayne. That's when you kind of want to pick Vayne, because Vayne is gonna do really well into those tanks. And if you play a lot of other ADCs, you're not going to be able to shred through the front line quick enough, or you're not going to be able to shred through the front line at all, and you're not going to be able to ever be able to hit the back line unless they walk up to you and make some egregious mistake. So anyways, here Vayne's laning phase generally not very good, especially against Varus, Leona, 2 of the stronger laning phase champions that are in the game. I won't say strongest, but definitely way above average in terms of how strong they are in lane. And Vayne is definitely on a little bit of below average in terms of laning power, so we shouldn't be doing so well against them. Of course, the gank that came in from the Darius did help us to get an early lead, and we're hoping to hang on to that lead and keep up the pressure. However, you will notice, if you guys actually notice from the earlier part of the lane, this Leona has not been playing very aggressively. She hasn't really been looking to engage onto me or Nami, which I think is a major mistake, because I think that if she does, they can try to look for kills, because Nami and Vayne are not the most difficult to kill, especially with a Varus Leona combo, especially after level 5, which is pretty much where we are all at now. So Nami and myself are going to be in a little bit of trouble if Leona gets in and engage. Nami goes in onto the Varus with the bubble, and we eliminate him from the equation, and now it's a simple matter of running Leona down. So unfortunately, they went a little bit over aggressive while I was coming off of the reset. Again, true damage proccing on top of the Leona. She cannot reduce that true damage with her W, so she gets run down by me as well. Now, if I was another ADC, I honestly think Leona gets out, because I proc the true damage on her 2 to 3 times there, and if I was anybody else, without the true damage, I think Leona actually gets out, because Leona is really, really tanky. So with that, we also get 2 plates, and now we can actually reset again to just get more item components. Really close to Bork now, less than 400 gold away, but not quite enough just yet. So yeah, I mean, honestly, so far all we've really done is capitalize on the mistakes made by the enemies. Leona being not aggressive enough in the early stages of the game, and then being too aggressive when we are under tower, leading to Varus getting caught and chain CC'd, and simply just eliminated from the equation. So we are actually off to a really hot 2-0-2 start. And obviously you guys saw from the title of the video, we did like 50% of our team's damage at the end, and I have to say that even on the hardest carry of games, I think I've only ever gotten more than 50% of the team's damage like twice ever in like my 3+ years of playing Wild Rift. Like it's nearly impossible, because for that to happen, to do like 50% of your team's damage, you not only have to be very fed, but the rest of your team has to also not be fed for you to do actually that much damage. So yeah, those kind of matches rarely ever happen. Now here, we're just blasting the Nunu. We condemn him to, you know, interrupt his ulti. We dodge Leona's CC, and now we're going to run down the Swain, who came to help the Leona but to no avail. Now we're going to run down the Leona, who really has no escape here because of Vayne's passive, especially enhanced by the ultimate. She cannot escape. In the meanwhile though, Varus has been wailing on our tower, and he has been getting a bunch of tower plates, which you can see that the gap between me and Varus is actually not that much, despite the fact that I'm 4-0-3 and he's 0-2. I only have not even a 1k gold advantage against him, so Varus has been doing very well to maximize the gold he is getting, you know, from from minions and from tower plates. So here I'm not gonna back, because if I back, we're gonna lose this tower, which I did not want. But Draven already gets the tower, you know, in the top lane anyway, and our mid lane tower is also already gone anyway. So, you know, you can see that my team is kind of in shambles. Enemy team has a 4k gold lead against us, and as I said, this is all kind of expected. Like in a sense that, with the respect to knowing that we did 50% of our team's damage, we already know the rest of our team is not going to be doing well, because if they were, there's no way we could be doing 50% of our team's damage. Also, furthermore, our team is 100% AD, which means that the 3 tanks on the enemy team have to just stack armor. Here I unfortunately do get chain CC'd under the tower. I can't really move. I eventually flash out of the way. We're trying to turn on them like what we did the previous round. However, Draven, the 5-0 Draven, is in to ruin the party, and with the anti-heal from Leona's Bramble Vest, I do end up dying to the Draven and giving Draven a huge shutdown. So now you can see immediately I'm realizing that this is a dire situation, because if you look at the goal state, I have about 6k gold, which is the same as the enemy Nunu, and Draven has like 2k gold higher than the both of us. So Draven is incredibly fed, 6-0, 2 completed items already, and you always know that a snowballing Draven is always going to be a problem, especially for Vayne, who has trouble competing with Draven's DPS, because really Vayne is kind of built to counter tanks, not really compete with carries. Now, Nunu is blatantly trying to steal our blue buff, and we can't allow that to happen. So we're going to roll in, condemn him into the wall, stun him up, and start, you know, just offloading our damage onto him. Now we nearly kill him. We managed to sidestep the mill of the Leona R. He pops the gargoyles. We finally kill him right before he gets the fruit. Now Leona finds herself in a little bit of trouble. Varus is stuck in the pit, has the Hex Slash out of the pit, and now Swain is running into our entire team. Pops the ulti, tries to flash on top of me, exhausts me, but once again, Vayne does not care about exhaust, because she does true damage. You cannot reduce Vayne's damage from exhaust. So we kill the Swain as well, just dispatching him as we should. And you can see that so long as we're dealing with somebody who's not Draven, we're fine. Like even the Nunu, who was relatively fed compared to our team, is no longer, because we've shut him down, we've killed him, and you know, he is yeah, he's easy to handle. So here Varus tries to fight us 1v1, and we have the help of our Nami behind us, which is why we took the fight in the first place, and we easily kill him as well. You can see that I'm having trouble dealing with people like Varus and Draven, but against someone like Nunu, Swain, and Leona, it's really no trouble at all. And this is one of the main reasons why I don't think Vayne is a very strong ADC at the moment. Which is simply the fact that you can only really deal with tanks effectively, and you can't deal with carries effectively. But there is no game that is going to be a game of 5 tanks. There's going to be at least 1 to 2 carries on the enemy team. So it's going to be very awkward if you're just dispatching all of the tanks non-stop, and then you get killed by their carry. So because you can't, you know, compete with the carry's damage. So of course you can get to a point where you're so fed that you can compete with their damage, and you will see that later on as well, where I get super duper fed and I actually can deal with the Varus and the Draven at one point in the game. But in general, if you're not so fed, like with such a big goal lead, it's really difficult for Vayne to deal with carries, and that's kind of one of the main reasons why, you know, as I said, Vayne is not very good of an ADC at the moment. Only really good at shredding the tanks, shredding the front line. And you could argue that if you manage to do that successfully, the rest of your teammates can help you cover your weaknesses by going for the carries instead. But you never really want to be in a position where your team is the one really, calling or determining whether the fight goes well or not. You kind of want to be the one, which is why Vayne is not really a top ADC. So here the dragon has spawned. A fight breaks out in the choke point here. The enemy team is all stuck in the choke point. Varus ult comes in. I'm stepping away so it doesn't spread. Draven for some reason flashes over the wall into 3 people and he just dies. So here, nice ult comes in from the Nami in the choke point. We get a double kill, a triple kill. And here we actually pick up the Quadra. If we actually got that kill on Draven in the blue buff pit instead of Akshan, we actually would have got a Penta right there. But anyways, the Quadra kill makes us Giga accelerated. We now have the same amount of gold as the Draven, who was of course very fed. He went from 6-0 to 6-2, so of course he has taken a couple of deaths since then. But of course, with all of the League of Dravens stacks cash-ins on his first 6 kills, he should be very far ahead. But you can see that we've caught up to him in terms of gold already. So you can really see how fed we are kind of getting. So here we actually pick up a QSS. Because really the enemy team is hard countered by QSS. Leona's 3 forms of CC can be QSS, Varus' root can be QSS, Swain's root as well. Of course Nunu's knockup cannot, but if you see him coming, you can pop the QSS to get the unstoppable and prevent yourself from getting knocked up. So QSS super duper hard counter into the enemy team. We definitely gotta pick that up early. In this case it's really more important than anything else because of value it gives us. So here I'm popping the ult, coming in from the side to get rid of the Nami. Now we're getting stuck into a fight. We pop the QSS to kind of escape. We're kiting away. We can't chase the 1 HP Swain down, unfortunately, but we can chase the Nunu down. We spot the Varus inside the bush and we kill him, and we condemn the Nunu into the wall, kill him as well. And you can start to see how Vayne can start to take over a game. Now Vayne is kind of one of those champions that when you first start playing her, it can be a little bit hard to play, but when you really get used to playing Vayne, you can really play her well. And the mobility you get from the Q, constantly being able to reposition and condemn people into the wall and just easily kill people in general, will be really insane. And you will have a lot of Vayne games that kind of look like this, where you're just kind of killing people, whoever is just near in the front line and things like that. And yeah, so here we're gonna pick up the blue buff. And here you can see Darius is... I'm not sure what Darius is doing, to be honest, because 3 of our teammates are on the bot side. He's trying to trap in that tri-brush up there, where if anything, he's more likely to fall into the enemy's trap than really trap them himself. So he does decide to go away instead. Now the main person we're trying to track here is where's Draven. So we can see Draven on the bot side of the map, so we are not too afraid at this moment, because really no one else is really too big of a threat. Here we have Varus and 2 of the tanks. Here we still don't know where Draven is, so if we start a fight, Draven could just show up randomly. Here it does look like a fight is about to break out. Draven is still missing, so I'm just cautiously taking note of what could happen. Here we killed the Swain without having to use our QSS. We killed the Leona. Next, Draven has actually showed up to the fight, and here is where I know I have the damage to kill Draven, so I'm actually hard committing onto killing Draven under tower for the triple kill. And here is where we do a little bit of mess up. I'm trying to condemn the Nunu here and then flash to the other side, but instead I end up condemning a minion instead and flashing to the other side because I needed to do that to not die to the tower. Probably, I think that's the only real big misplay that we did in this particular game, is that awkward part where I condemned the minion instead of the Nunu. But other than that, everything else is basically picture perfect. So that's the little bit of an embarrassing one from me right there. However, here we are going to try to force this inhib down. Leona engages in for some reason, which really just lets me free stack my lethal tempo on her. I'm at full stacks of lethal tempo. You can see now I'm just going insane, just going for the backline, the Varus now. I wanted to go for Draven, but I can't get over the wall, of course. So I'm going to kill the Nunu instead. Draven for some reason steps up, and we're going to get rid of basically all of them. And at this point, we've gone both inhibs, and we can just end the game. So I'm going to hop in there and start focusing the Nexus. Of course, no more Nexus shield because we already got it after we got the previous inhib. And yeah, so here you can see the 50% of the team's damage Vayne performance. hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I'm gonna leave you guys with the stats as usual, and goodbye.